Good afternoon, welcome back to the Fryerning XL Carp Blog. This is number 9, believe it or not, and you join us down at a fairly frigid Fryerning main lake in a new swim, which is the old log swim, which has been beautifully refurbished. So it's kind of like the new logs now, but absolutely palatial, lovely looking swim now with a good bit of access to that area of water opposite the chocolate finger. So I'm sure this swim will get good usage this year. So it's a cold old day, 5 degrees. You probably remember me saying last time in the last blog that we really needed some rain, and by thunder did we get it. The water is now pretty much back up to where it should be, but of course all that rain and the cold weather that came with it as well has caused the anglers to back off. Would you believe it? Friday afternoon, a week and a half before Christmas, there is not one single angler on site. Well, there's obviously us here, but we're not fishing, so nobody is fishing at all. All of the lakes have great winter form, and what we're going to do is give you a little recap over the 2019 season, because the amount of smashed P.Bs, the amount of massive carp, the amount of incredible looking carp that have been out of these lakes is absolutely jaw-dropping. So we're going to put together a compilation for you of the year so far. It's probably fair to say there might not be any out before New Year's Eve now with no angler footfall, but certainly to the point we're at now, a week or so before Christmas, we're going to give you a recap, show you these immense creatures in all their glory. Now, if we wind the clock back a little bit, just before we go all the way back, I did a session down on a valley lake in, it was probably only about 2 weeks ago actually, end of November. Really cold, frosty night. But managed to come away with a lovely 21-pound common, which I think was the first fish out of there since Halloween. Doesn't mean I'm good or anything, it was just that I was the only person that fished it since Halloween. So, you know, the valley is another place that will do bites in cold weather. Very, very pleased with that fish. Now, as we wind the clock right back to the start of the year, the behemoth, the Goliath of the lake, the Germ, the mighty Germ, which seems to have been around for so long now. It's a proper established massive English legitimate big carp that came out to the rods of Keith Mann at the start of the new year at over 55 pounds. Now, with your hangover just wearing off, to get a fish like that, I mean, that is an incredible way to start the new year with the mightiest of mighty fish. Well done to you, Keith. Outstanding. Now, the fish obviously turned on a little bit at the same time, because only a few swims away from Keith, further down the lake, Dan Crow caught the incredible pretty one at just over 39 pounds. So something happened there in that little window, and the fish switched on, whether it was the moon or the weather. But if you're not here, you won't be able to take advantage of those little planetary alignments, as I call them. So let's move on to the next one. Well done to you two. Not long after those two captures, the lakes froze over completely. The country was cloaked in a brief spell of icy weather. We didn't have an awful lot of really cold weather last winter. In fact, it was one of the best winters for angling that I can remember. Certainly where I was, there were plenty of fish coming out, but there was a snap in January when it iced over, and the management team, being ever proactive, took advantage of that, and they took to the boat, smashed the ice, and commenced with a huge netting program. The carp gods had just blown a flurry of cold air over us then. They commenced a huge netting program with a view to thinning out what were big numbers of silverfish in the main lake. Over 2 tons of these were removed through a couple of netting missions, which is incredibly hard work, but necessary, because if you thin that out, the biomass changes dramatically. You can imagine 2 tons of roach, how much food those fish would eat in any given period, and once they're removed, an awful lot more of that food gets through to those precious carp. So I'm sure that little things like that, coupled with the feeding programs that go on, will continue to see numbers of 40s, 50s, and who knows, we're getting very close to the first 60-pound carp as well. So after the freeze up, the weather changed back, and as I said, it was one of the best winters weather-wise for fishing that we had had in many, many a year. February, in fact, saw, as probably most of you will remember, well, you should be able to remember, it's only February. It's just me, it's getting a fuzzy memory of old age. Record-breaking temperatures in February. In fact, I remember a couple of days it went up to 18 degrees as this warm air mass came up from the Azores and seemingly every lake in the country switched on and started doing fish. Even lakes that had never done a fish in the winter before were suddenly pumping out fish in February because of this massive elevation in water temperatures. Now, the main lake switched on accordingly. In fact, it switched on before it went ridiculously warm. Throughout the month, it continued to do big fish. Did no less than 4 different 40s, loads of 30s, and quite a few upper 20s as well. This is just in February. Now, Jim Buffoni was the first on the score sheet for that month, catching the remarkable Emperor at 44 pounds. And he followed that up with another incredible looking fish, Bertie's Linear, at 40 pounds and 4 ounces. Hot on the heels of Jim Buffoni was Chris Moore. Chris caught 3 crackers, 36 pound, 32 pound and 27 pound. What an amazing session. The highlight for February, and certainly my favourite carp angling picture for the entire year, was Zach Cullerton and his son Freddie. They fished together and they caught the amazing 4 scales at over 40 pound. Check out this picture. The next angler to get on a roll call of honour was Tommy Moore, when he caught arguably the most distinctive looking, sought after and most majestic looking mirror carp in all of the UK, the wood carving. This fish came out February capture just under 44 pounds. What a creature that is, I'm sure you'll agree. The Valley Lake was also fishing. Gary Moffat catching a brute of a common at over 27 pounds. Well done to you, sir. And I came down for a tutorial session with the lovely Laura Monnier. We went on to the car park lake for the day. Had an absolutely brilliant session, and Laura caught this gorgeously scaled mirror carp, bathed in sunshine. What a day that was, and I remember it very clearly because the bumblebees were out. And yes, that was February. Well done, Laura. Now, as we move into the month of March, always a good month on the carp calendar, the main lake really did kick off. I need to read to you what came out because it's incredible. There were no less than 25 carp caught from the main lake. This included the Germ at 56 pounds, which is very close to her best ever weight if it's not. And then nine different 40 pound carp, including fish of 48.12, 48.10 and 46 pounds. What an incredible month March was. March was the month that I ventured back for a little bit of my own personal angling. I managed to do 3 sessions down on the Valley Lake. I do like a bit of valley fishing. The fish in there are absolutely beautiful looking, and with a little bit of thought they're not too hard to catch, although it's a lot trickier than it used to be. I think I fished, as I said, I fished 3 sessions and I came away, I'd have to look in the book, but more than 20 fish. So it was an incredible period of angling for me. Fishing where I saw the fish fizzing or wherever I got liners, moving around a lot, just fishing for a bite at a time paid off well. Now, although I didn't manage to catch a 30 pounder in amongst all those fish, 2 anglers did during the month of March. The first was Sam Lane with a remarkable 36 pound common, and Mav Smith following that up with a 33 pound mirror. Massive fish, amazing looking fish, and a great month of March down on the valley. Now, as we move into April, carp catches on the main lake went into absolute overdrive. No fewer than 50 carp came out of the main lake, and amongst those were 7 different personal bests. Now, during April, Felixstowe-based gold miner Simon Lincoln certainly did strike gold, catching a brace of carp totaling almost 102 pounds from the main lake. Absolutely remarkable. Julian Morphew chipped in with probably the most desirable big common in Essex, the Mommon, at over 47 pounds. Now, when you think that during the month of April the main lake did 50 fish, April of the previous year, 2018, did 17 fish. So a great example, a great reflection from superb management, and the lake continues to go from strength to strength. Jake Bryan, Rick Neighbour and York Stevens all caught 30 pound carp from the valley during the month of April. And not surprisingly, the car park lake continued to be bountiful for everyone who had a go, with some astonishing hauls, real red letter days, big catches of carp, double figures abounding. In May, the captures carried on exactly where they had left off in April. Mitch Atwood catching a clonking 47 pound 10 ounce mirror carp. Hot on his heels was Roy Prodger, who caught the fantastic Pretty One at a new weight of over 40 pounds, which is another new 40-pound carp for the main lake. Well done, boys. During the month of May, the Valley Lake continued to turn dreams into reality. Darryl Ray taking no less than 2 personal bests, topped off with a fish of 31 pounds and 4 ounces. A previous client of mine, Ian Mitchell, really good fella, very, very capable angler. He notched up his personal best to 31 pounds and 12 ounces. So the tuition paying off well. Good work, Ian. Well done to both of you. Now, not long after that, the weather started to get really warm and the fish responded by gathering up for spawning. Now, one of the things I've always liked about the management down at Fryerning is as soon as the fish look like they're going to spawn, the lads shut the lakes. It allows the fish to just go along about their business and just get on with it without the added stress of being pestered and mithered by hairy-ass carp anglers. So the lakes were shut for a couple of weeks and the fish spawned very successfully, which is vitally important to the longevity of these fish. You know, they all drop big amount of weight after spawning every year, which is something you really need. You don't want fish to be egg bound, carry an old spawn, because it just causes problem down the line. So one of the keys to the health and longevity and continued growth of the Fryerning carp is successful spawning. So after a couple of weeks, the lakes reopened, and of course, with the fish being slightly down in weight, they went on a proper munch. Now, as the fish continued to munch, now the remainder of the month produced no fewer than 50 carp as the fish fed with gay abandon. The fish hauls weren't just big fish solitary captures. In fact, one angler caught 20 carp in one 72-hour session. Practically unheard of on the main lake at Fryerning, I can tell you. So another thing that raised eyebrows was Nick Royce with his capture of a catfish which went 130 pounds. I think that must be one of, if not the biggest catfish available to catch in the UK. Now, these catfish have been grown on site. There's not very many of them, but there's a couple of real big ones, and I keep promising myself that one year I'm going to come down and have a go for those fish. 130-pound freshwater catfish in Essex available for you to have a go at. Now, that is mind-blowing. The Valley Lake wasn't to be left out, always one to get on the score sheet. Ben Edkins caught an amazing looking 32-pound common carp, and following on just behind him were Kane Sutton, who had a new personal best of 33 pounds and 8 ounces. Well done, Kane. And Chris Marchand had one of 30 pounds and 2 ounces. So 30-pounders all round down on the valley. Now, as the summer progressed, the lake seemed to fish even better and better. Through July and August, an astonishing number of big carp were caught, and July registered no fewer than 70 carp in the catch report, and August following up with 64 odd carp. Now, amazing numbers of big fish, but the nice thing about this, and again testament to great management, is the fact that within those numbers of fish were the old established A-team warriors that we've come to know and love over decades of frying in existence, but also some new faces, some amazing looking 20-pound, low 20s, upper 20s and even 30-pound carp, which have been grown on site in the stock ponds, which are genetically the same as the big fish in here, grown on from spawn that the lads have cultivated, and they're now making their own bit of history. These are the fish of the future that will eventually come on to become monsters in their own right, and it's a lovely thing to see. One of the noted captures in July was Paul Bissett, who accounted for no fewer than 6 carp, the biggest of which being the mighty Germ, a fraction underneath 50 pounds. Very healthy spawned out weight for that fish, and there's one, the monster, the queen of the lake, that's continuing to get bigger and bigger. Paul followed that fish up with the Momon at 42 pounds, and then the incredible, the most coveted wood carving at a fraction underneath 40 pounds. Paul also had 3 other carp, which we almost would say were small for the main lake. They went up to 31 pounds. So a catch of 6 fish, some of the A-team, some of the new faces. Well done, Paul. Another angler checking in for the month, and a very consistent Mitch Atwood, recording a hit of no fewer than 18 carp up to 40 pounds. Few of the A-team, few of the new ones. Marvellous big hit fishing. Well done, sir. Now, also in this month, I made a return back to my beloved Valley Lake, and I came down on this occasion. I'm not crying because of memories of the Valley Lake, it's the cold weather. I just felt a tear roll down my cheek. and I came down to record a session film for Hooked, which was the summer hunt. And despite the Valley Lake being possibly quite tricky at times, it was kind to us. We did a couple of nights. I think we fished Monday to Wednesday, and I caught 7 carp. A couple off the bottom and a few off the surface, up to just over 30 pounds, which was more than what we expected. You know, really, you come expecting or hoping to get a couple of fish, but so to get 7 was beyond our expectations, all recorded on film. So if any of you guys want to see the Valley Lake in its summer glory with some surface action and some bottom fishing action and lots of tips and tactics on how I'll go about fishing the Valley Lake, then have a download and have a look at the film now. Now, in the same month, Finn Richardson smashed his personal best again. Finn seems to go from strength to strength, and this time notched it up to over 26 pounds. Well done to you, mate. Darren Bryan chipped in with a personal best as well, so loads of big, beautiful carp coming out of the valley. Now, as the summer weeks drifted on, the school holidays descended, people's family holidays arrived, and it's that time when, as always, the lakes get quieter and quieter. It was no different down at Fryerning, not too many people down, but the ones that did come down accounted for some amazing and very significant catches. And one of the guys to capitalise on the quiet spell down at the lake was Paul Bryant. Fishing on the main lake, he caught the phenomenal netted fish at 40 pound. And just a note on this fish, this is a fish that I would dearly love to catch myself. It is one of in fact, at the right time of the year, it could arguably be the biggest genetic leather in the entire UK. It's been over 50 pounds, and that's a very, very rare fish. Paul caught it over 40 pound, which is more than big enough. Well done to you, sir. Good work. Consistent big carp angler Steve Falco accounted for no fewer than 3 of the A-team. The magnificent Emperor, followed up by the Dalmatian, and also the amazing and very old Charlie. Following on from that, Tommy Flower bagged 5 of the most wanted, including the netted fish, Bertie's Linear, No Name, Charlie, and a big grass carp. Phenomenal angling to both of you guys, well done. Now, making the journey all the way down to Essex from Blackpool, which is nearly as far as Scotland as far as we're concerned, was the Lancashire Carp Baits team, headed up by the really lovely guy Alan Sutherland. They came down, did a few trips and went away with a few bites with fish up to just over 30 pound, making your long journeys very well worthwhile. Lovely bunch of people. Hope to see you back again soon. Well done. Down on the Valley Lake, Josh Hefford and Kane Sutton certainly were talk of the valley, having a massive hit of fish between them, fishing together as a team, fished to over 31 pounds. Well done, guys. Also down on the valley, Chris Rutt and York Stevens each had a 35 plus common, which were different fish. Absolutely amazing carp to be had down on the valley. And the young lad must get a mention again. Finn Richardson caught another PB. Well done, mate. You're coming on leaps and bounds. Now, September and October saw the weather cool down a little bit and the carp catches decreased a little, but they were certainly made up for in terms of quality. Dean Callaghan and his son Cooper sharing this catch here, a new 30 pound carp for the Valley Lake. I love seeing pictures like this. Well done, guys. Now, my old mate Ian Russell, one of the best carp anglers in the country, he came down and did a tutorial session with Mark Philby on the valley, and Mark had a dream session and he caught fish of 26 pounds, 29 pounds and 31 pounds, and during that smashed his personal best twice. Shows what a great bit of guidance can do. Well done to both of you. Good to see you back down here, Ian. Brilliant. Back on the main lake, long-term member and seasoned youngster Elliot Bertram made absolute mincemeat of the main lake with over 20 carp. These included the Dalmatian, 4-scale, the netted fish, the amazing Starburst, the Zip Linear, and a fair few others too. Top bombing there, Elliot, well done. Shortly after that, Jason Loveday caught one of my favourite fish in the lake, the Gambler, at just over 39 pounds, while Danny Spears caught the oldest fish on the complex, named after Charlie himself, an amazing looking old warrior, at over 39 pounds. Fantastic. And we're nearly up to date. We're moving into November. We had stacks and stacks of rain. We had frosts. In fact, I would say it was the coldest November for many a year. A very, very cold start to the winter, and the anglers dropped off rapidly. But if you're not in it, you ain't going to win it. One angler who did win it was Dave Westwood, catching the mighty XL Pex at its biggest recorded weight ever at 45 pounds and 10 ounces. And that is a huge, huge weight for that male carp. It's a beast of a breeze block, and it's a carp I would dearly like to catch myself. Excellent fishing. Not long after that, Tom Cook caught the very, very sought after Emperor at over 44 pounds. Looking absolutely amazing. And then Kevin Deeming and Steve Lockwood chipped in with fish of 32 pounds and 31 pounds each to round off a very, very lovely November down on the main lake at Fryerning. Well, just about going to round things off, and as I mentioned right at the start of this, there's no anglers on site, but the management are continuing with their feeding program, which not only keeps the weights of these fish up, but as many of you will know, if the fish are constantly exposed to food items throughout the colder months, then they will continue moving around and looking for food, which is exactly what we as anglers want. It's only when everything stops and all the bait stops going in that the fish will just go into a dormant state and just sit there until the weather warms up. That doesn't happen down at Fryerning. One thing that the management have done is that they've been looking into responsibly sourced sustainable feed options, which are being bought in from British producers. Now, the site at Fryerning has for over 30 years been pesticide free. It's organic land, and the guys thought, well, with the land being certifiable in that way, we should have the lake the same. So the highest grade of food is being put into the lake. Micronized barley and sustainable pellet are being fed into the lakes regularly. Now, the habitat down at Fryerning is really second to none, and you can see that reflected by the variety of bird life and other forms of nature that are attracted to the waterside. We've got masses of bitterns, shoveler ducks, egrets, even water voles. And we feel it really is essential to continue to work with nature and aim for greater sustainability all round. One of the last things to mention is that the water supply is now up and running. The boys have done some amazing work. I've seen the facilities they put in for filtration and sustainability, and now there is a full amount of endless water supply down at Fryerning, and believe me, it's a lot purer and a lot more healthy than what you get out your tap at home. Starting in January 2020, there are a limited number of midweek tickets available which cover the car park lake and the valley lake. These will run from midday on Sunday until Friday, and will give you access to some phenomenal fishing with winter form, lots of fish in the car park lake. You know, you can get fish out of there on the coldest of cold, bleak days, and the chance of a 40-pound carp being a common as well in the valley lake. So if you're interested in one of these new midweek limited tickets, get in touch with the guys on the number or on the website contact. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our blog, our final one for the year of 2019. Feasting your eyes on some amazing breeze blocks of carp and also some incredible looking fish as well. I'm going to sign off. I would like to wish you and all your families and friends a wonderful, peaceful, relaxing and prosperous Christmas from myself and all the guys down at Fryerning, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2020.